Oh,
How
mate,
can anybody judge Darwin Nunez on a handful of appearances in the first few months at a new club, in a new league, with a hefty price tag on his shoulders? And what makes this newspaper believe that actually came from our coaches or from Jurgen Klopp? That baffles me.
This video is being sponsored by our friends at Spitch, the best fantasy football manager game on the App Store, bar none. Why is it the best? You don't have to commit to an entire season. You can play individual game weeks if you want, choosing a brand new team every single weekend. Right now, there's a new season mode where you can win up to £50,000, and there's even a free season mode with prizes of up to £2,500. Seasons mode is based on 34 game weeks, and only your best 5 are counted at the end of the season. There's tons of stats and analytics available inside the app to help you choose your team and give you the best chance of winning. If the money and the gameplay wasn't enough to tempt you, how about Jurgen Klopp being an ambassador for Spitch this season? If it's good enough for Mr. Klopp, it's good enough for me. You must be 18 years or over to play. Use our link in the description below to download Spitch and win money with your football knowledge.
There's a report that came out in Spain, and it's from a Spanish newspaper called Paddy, how do I pronounce this? P-A-I-S.
P-A-I-S. It means the country, El País.
El País, so the country, there you go. Spanish newspaper called El País have said the signing of Darwin Nunez is the biggest mistake of Jurgen Klopp's career, with Liverpool officials admitting that paying the record fee for the player was a blunder, considering his record in games and in training. Now, let me just say, I don't think anybody's ever been judged on their record in training. That's a bit of an odd one. I don't know about the records of what happens in training, but Chris, you're the most sensible one of the three of us here. So usually I find if I'm disgusted by something, I'm sure you will be.
Oh,
how
mate,
can anybody judge Darwin Nunez on a handful of appearances in the first few months at a new club, in a new league, with a hefty price tag on his shoulders? And what makes this newspaper believe that actually came from our coaches or from Jurgen Klopp? That baffles me.
This is good old fashioned bullshit island, mate. This is where this is probably the king of bullshit island. Whoever this newspaper, El País, whatever they are, like there is not. I've never heard of them before, and they're spouting bollocks. A, because why on earth would any Liverpool official come out and say that? And B, like you watched Fabinho in his first 6 months, didn't you? You watched Andy Robertson. You watched a lot of Jurgen Klopp signings. Rarely even featured, you know, people who were completely ostracized almost. Costa Simicas, I mean, I know he had injuries, but he had a year where he had to settle. Realistically, it's utter waffle. And from what I've seen of Darwin Nunez, there's been obviously some poor performances, but there's also been some extremely encouraging signs. So they need to have a day off, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, Paddy, what's your thoughts on that report of Klopp viewing him as the biggest mistake of his career and a blunder?
Well, it's obviously bullshit now. Let's call a spade a spade. Like, no one from the club is speaking about Darwin like that. What I just can't really wrap my head around is how anyone could write him off. Now, he hasn't had a chance to prove himself. Now, that is self-inflicted, obviously, because of the red card. That has really not helped him or us or his integration process. But he's a totally unique he's a totally unique option for us. And the thing that fills me with rage is you bring him off the bench against Napoli, and he's on the wing crossing into our 5'9" dwarf attackers. Surely, like I firmly don't understand that at all. Now I know he can be utilized on the wing, but obviously his main man is through the middle as a target man. And I have genuinely no doubt about him in my mind. When he gets up and running, he's going to score goals. He's looked good anytime he's played, in my opinion. He's looked lively. He's been getting chances. And, he's not a skillful player. He's not a Messi-esque dribbler. But he's just a bulldozer scorer, and that's what we need.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, Chris, in any of Jurgen Klopp's interviews or when he's spoken about Darwin suggests anything other than he's very happy with the reinforcement that he's brought in and that they got their man.
It's going to take time. Not when Nunez isn't only adapting to a new culture, adapting to a new team, adapting to a new system, adapting to a new coach. Liverpool are adapting to Nunez. We've never had a player like him under Jurgen Klopp. What's the closest comparison we can say? Benteke, probably. Like genuinely,
Probably.
we have Origi. Maybe is the only other one you could say.
I'd say Benteke is probably a better fit to the style. Origi's a bit more pace about him, I'd say.
Yeah. So we have to adjust our style to him. And Nunez obviously offers a lot more than Christian Benteke ever has done. But yeah, look, it's going to take time. And that's what I said at the start of this season. He'll score 15 to 20 goals, and that will be a good season, a very good season. And just because of the Community Shield, people were hyping him up and stuff. So yeah, it's waffle.
Title worked though, mate, didn't it? You're in.
You're
in watching. Title did its job. And if you have watched, you will know that it's not our words. We wouldn't be so disrespectful of a Liverpool player like that. We are merely bringing up this article to absolutely knock it back down because it's nonsense of the highest order. I mean, look, Paddy, it's unfortunate for Darwin that he came in the same summer that Erling Haaland went to Manchester City, because it was going to be built up straight away as Darwin versus Haaland, and anybody with half a brain, yourself, myself, and Chris included, would probably admit that Darwin's probably going to take a while to catch up to Haaland, who's a little bit further along in his development.
Oh yeah, well, Haaland's coming to the Premier League as a ready-made article. You know, we did big up Nunez, and I still will big up Nunez, but obviously it's going to be hard to reach the levels Haaland's going to hit at City. But let's not forget, he's played over an hour once in his career so far for us. So for anyone judging him already, embarrassing.
Let me ask this, and I'll ask it to the chat as well. Thank you, Killian, by the way, for subbing with Amazon Prime. Appreciate that. Does anybody have any fears that it won't work out? Because, you know, if I can start, I have to say I don't. I've got zero fears around Darwin. I'm absolutely happy with what I've seen from him so far. Chris?
Yeah, I'm not fearful. Obviously, there is the option. The only way I see this not working out is injuries. That's the only way. I think that once he gets going, you've got a top 3 or 4 striker in the world there, ready-made. He's got all of the ingredients. It just needs to be combined in the perfect form. And yeah, I don't know. Understand the only reason I could ever see it failing is injuries. That's it.
For me, Paddy, I think it's going to take time. It's going to take time for his understanding to rub off. The players in midfield, whenever we get a decent midfield together that can play a few games, and of course Mohamed Salah and Diaz and Verge and everybody else that's going to supply ammunition to Darwin, they're going to have to get used to his movements. They're going to have to get used to his timings. They're going to have to get used to whether he prefers the ball in on his left and on his right, which side he's strongest jumping off. There's a lot of things that they're still getting to know about each other.
Listen, Darwin's start at Liverpool has been more turbulent than a Ryanair landing. There's been suspensions. There's been midfield injuries. There's been fucking death of monarchs. There's been, it's been an absolute shit show so far. But for anyone questioning him, I really don't understand. Anytime we've seen him, he's looked lively. He didn't score against Everton, but he had an unbelievable volley that was very lucky not to go in. He scored against Fulham. He scored against Man City. Obviously, the Palace game against sent off. And then he's suspended. So every time he's actually played, he's come close and he's looked lively. So I don't know what people are saying. People are expecting a majestic, fluent, skillful striker. He's not that. He's just a big shithouse. Like Haaland, by the way. Does anyone look at Haaland and I think he's nice on the eye? He scored about 75% of his goals from 6 yards, and that's an elite striker. That's what Darwin is. That's what we need. So he hasn't had a chance yet, and that's self-inflicted too. But give him a run of games. He will be our starting man eventually, and I hope Klopp actually utilises him properly and keeps him away from the wing, because not good enough there. He can do a job there, but he's clearly better through the middle.
Well, it doesn't help as well, Chris, when he's coming in to a team that's been absolutely pants since he's arrived.
I mean, it's the same with the defense. It's the same with the mid. It's just totally and utterly, difficult when the dysfunctional midfield. And he's just had no service. And when he has had service, he's provided moments. And the one example I can give you is against Everton, where he was literally not in the game One bit of service he had, he very, very nearly scored, and it took an absolutely unreal save from Jordan Pickford to deny him. That's all you need. As Paddy said, you're not getting Roberto Firmino and Karim Benzema's love child. You're getting a big shithouse striker who scores goals. That's what you're getting, and that's what we paid the money for, because I feel it's an evolution that needed to be made. So yeah, it's waffle.
I'll tell you what, we're also getting a fighter. We're getting somebody who won't just take shit lying down and will stand up and will call things out. I've loved Darwin's attitude since he came in. Yes, the red card was petulant, and yes, he will learn from it and should know better. But ultimately, give me Darwin every day of the week. I'm delighted with the fact we signed him.
I just want to talk about this and how baffling it is. Let me break down Darwin's competitive appearances for us. We'll include the City game if you want, but he scored in that anyway. He scored a winner in that. Okay, take that away. Fulham scores and assists. Palace gets sent off, fucks up, fair enough. Then he's out for United, Bournemouth, Newcastle. Now, don't tell me he wasn't going to bag a hat-trick against Bournemouth. And then he plays Everton. He plays 80 minutes against Everton, the most he's played. He looks decent, and he has a really good chance. And if that goes in, we win the game, and we're praising him. He has played 176 minutes total for us in the Premier League. 176 minutes. That's literally shy of 2 games just, and people are daring to question the guy. If you really want to, I think people's minds are kind of clouded because they're seeing Haaland across the M1 or whatever the fucking motorway is called between Manchester and Liverpool. I don't know, banging them in unprecedented levels of goal shagging. Fair play to him, but don't compare.
He's just a goal scorer merchant.
No, listen, we're going to get laughed. I'm going to say don't compare him to Haaland. We did compare him to Haaland, and we shot ourselves in the foot. Fair enough. But he's going to come good. If anyone's writing Darwin Nunez off, and you're a Liverpool fan, I really, really think you need to give your head a wobble.
Here's a question. Nope, sorry, wrong question. This one. Would you agree we overpaid? Yeah. He's not ready. He leaves his potential. 9 out of 10 season striker. Yes, absolutely. We overpaid, but we had to overpay to get the man that we wanted. And I would argue that in this window, we've seen a lot of overpaying, Chris, from not just Liverpool, but from many other Premier League clubs.